Welcome to our weekly program, The Inside Story of Chabad in America through the Mindel Archives. This program is a continuation of last week. And last week we mentioned from the Rebbe, you can always click back and see. You should, before we learn this. What is a chosid? People wanted to know, what is a chosid? So we mentioned one thing, what the Rebbe mentioned about a chosid. That b'kitzur, everything that a chosid does is only to bring down the Shechina here lamato. That's a chosid. Everything it does is only the Eibishter. Why? Because this is why he was created, and this is why the Eibishter created him. And Nisave HaKadosh Baruch Hu liyas dir b'tachteinim. That's all. No personal motives. This is what we spoke. And the Rebbe asked Rabbi Mindel to find Maramikemis a Chosid al Pinigla, because I think some of them were put in Talks and Tales. I'm not sure, but I showed you last week. I spoke about it. So there's one Nekuda that when Rabbi Mindel wrote, the Rebbe mentioned something, and this is a from the Gemara, and I think it's important to mention it because this is the kavanah of the Eibishter in this world. So I'll mention to you what's mentioned over there. This is a chosid. There is a Mishnah in Baba Metzia in Habayis V'Oliyah. There was a house and there was an aliyah. There was an upstairs and there was a downstairs. For example, Reuven was the owner of the upstairs, and Shimon was the owner of the downstairs. It's the Mishnah. All of a sudden, Naflo Habayis V'Oliyah. The house fell down. There was a fire, or whatever happened, destroyed. So they have nowhere to live. So the Mishnah says that the Balo Aliyah, Reuven, from the upstairs comes down, goes to Shimon, and he says, please build a house. Because you cannot have an upstairs, excuse me, you cannot have an upstairs without a downstairs. So the Mishnah says, Rotza, if Shimon agrees, fine. Shimon builds the downstairs, and Reuven, the Baal Aliyah, builds himself upstairs. What happens if Reuven comes to Shimon and says, build it downstairs? Excuse me. And Shimon says, I'm not ready. I don't want to build. I can't, whatever reason. What should Reuven do? Reuven has to have a place to live. So the halacha is that Reuven can build the downstairs, even though his apartment is upstairs. But in this case, he can build there. Shimon is not ready. And he can live there until Shimon decides to move in, pay him the money. And when he decides to move in, then Shimon moves in downstairs, and Reuven builds himself upstairs. This is the Mishnah. So the Rebbe says, just like there is a Yerushalayim Shal Mailo, just like there is a Gashmizdike Bayis and Aliyah, there is a Ruchnizdike Bayis and Aliyah. Spiritual. There is a Yerushalayim Shal Mailo, and there is Yerushalayim Shal Mato. Who is the owner of the Baal Aliyah? Let's say instead of Reuven, the Eibishter. The Eibishter is called, a God is called the Baal Aliyah. He lives upstairs. Downstairs is the Baal Habayis. We Yidden are downstairs. We are the Eibishter. We are created to do Torah mitzvahs. So we do Torah mitzvahs. All of a sudden, Noflo Habayis V'Aliyah. There was a Churban Beis Hamikdash, and the house is destroyed. What happens when a house is destroyed? Then the Baal Aliyah doesn't have where to live. And the Baal Habayis doesn't have where to live. So the Eibishter is in Golus. Shchinto begoluso. The Eibishter does not have a place to live. And we don't have a place. We're in Golus. What happens? The Mishnah says, the Baal Aliyah goes to the Baal Habayis and he asks him, please build a house. The Eibishter, God, comes to the Yidden and says, do the Torah mitzvahs. Do the mitzvahs so you'll be able to have a house and I will be able to have an upstairs. Because I cannot have an upstairs without a downstairs. Shoshchinto begalusa, the Shechina is also in Galus. As the Gemara says, Nishba HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shaloi L'choni B'Shalayim Shalmaylo Ad Yichon B'Shalayim Shalmaylo. David swore that he can't go upstairs until there's a downstairs. So the Shechina, the Eibishter is in Golus. If we're in Golus, the Eibishter suffers also. Shchinto begaluso. So he tells the Yidden, build a house. So he's downstairs, and then the Eibishter, and then everything is fine. You have the Gula Shlema. What happens? The Mishnah says, if the Baal Aliyah comes to the downstairs, and he says build and he doesn't want to build, or he has no money, the Yidden don't want to do mitzvahs, or they don't want to do it. The Baal Aliyah is begging them. What's the halacha? That the Baal Aliyah himself can build it downstairs. Until we do tshuva, until we decide to move in down, then we do tshuva, and the Eibishter has it, and that's it. Meaning, Hine lo yonum v'lo yishon. The Eibishter doesn't leave alone, even in Golus. The Eibishter is with us. He's downstairs. He's with us, but that's not the kavanah. The Eibishter is downstairs with us. So when we decide to do tshuva, then but zochu achishenu lo zochu biito. If we're zeiche, if we do the right thing, if we have Avas Yisrael, we learn Torah mitzvahs, we do the chinuch the way we're supposed to, Hashem, then Mashiach will come and you have downstairs and the Eibishter upstairs, everything is fine. Lo yizochu b'ito. Mashiach will come anyways. But the while, the Eibishter is here, but that's not the kavanah. The Eibishter needs his place upstairs. And so the whole idea, as we said last week, is to bring down Zo in Malchus. That the Eibishter should, the kavanah is to bring the Gula Shlema. And that is the responsibility of a Chassid. That he does the Eibishter, that he wants to bring Mashiach, and that's the Baal Aliyah and the Baal Habayis. Next week, we're going to say why we say that a Chassid cannot be an Amoritz. There are rights here. Why is Lo Amoritz Chassid? What is he supposed to do? The Iker. He does everything for the Eibishter. But what is the Iker how is he supposed to act here to bring the Geula? To bring down the Eibishter should have a Mokim right here in this world. And in Mitzvah Hashem next week we will continue. Thank you.